Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a review of the Bachmann Amtrak ACS64. This is going to be a rather kind of lazy review format where I just do one take on my phone, no fancy editing. This way I can just output the video much easier. And yeah, but at the same time I could share my opinions on this one model here. And yeah, so let's get started. So this engine is, it's very, very nice. I think Bachmann did a great job on this model. It's very, dimensionally speaking, it's very accurate to my eye at least. I live right along the Northeast Corridor, so I see these trains going by my house all the time. So, I have seen a lot of these, and to my eye, they definitely nailed the shape of this. And that is because they actually partnered with Amtrak to make this model. So that's how they got the very accurate blueprints and, drawings and whatnot and dimensions for the model. Now, that being said, the model is, the paint is really, really good. I really think they did a really good job. Everything's very crisp. There is a little bit of paint bleed. I don't know if you can see it, like right around here. You can see kind of the blue kind of bleeds into the silver, which is not the best. And that seems to be pretty consistent. Or maybe it's just a little bit here as well. This one seems pretty good, though. But otherwise, the rest of the paint look really good, like the Siemens logo, they look really good. The front Amtrak logo is very visible and it looks really, really nice. In fact, the entire model looks really nice right here. The body itself is all plastic, including the fuel tank here, which is also plastic. The frame is, of course, die-cast. The detail is rather minimal. They did definitely add the details where they matter. For example, these grab irons here, these handrails, but you can see that the construction is very simple. A lot of details are molded on, such as these, pipes here near the air conditioning and GPS locator. The top here is, again, rather minimal. You could definitely tell where the separately applied details are, like these air horns, this cable here. But the rest is all molded on. These pantographs, you can lift them up by just gently doing that. They are sprung, and it, of course, does pick up power from the pantographs. If you turn on this switch right here, which has a switch that goes either track power or pantograph pickup. So you can actually pick up power from the pantographs. That being said, I don't have working catenary on my layout, and I assume most people don't either. So most people are probably not going to be using that. But they are, sprung, and you can lift them. But, yeah. And also just the details, for example, in the front here, these MU hoses are all, it's one piece. Like there's 3 MU hoses on each side, but they're, this is a one piece. The uncoupling lever, I honestly wish the uncoupling lever was an actual piece of wire. You can see here, this is just molded on. It's molded on okay. From any sort of distance or speed, you can't really tell that's molded on. But that being said, the more detail-oriented people will definitely notice that this wire here, if you see that silver wire, is molded on to the front. And yeah, the bottom here, again, is also very minimal. These are all molded on parts. This is separately applied. It looks very good, though. These trucks are... One complaint is that these trucks are kind of 2D. The truck side frames are very, thin. There's not much depth, molded in. They look very flat to me. And these cables could really be done better if you use separately applied wire. But again, I understand that Bachmann was trying to cut costs. This engine is not very, very expensive. And I'm sure it took a lot of money in research and development, designing this completely custom chassis just for this one model. You can't reuse a GP40 chassis to make this model. You have to build your own. Unlike, for example, if you're making a GP38, you could just reuse your GP40 chassis for the most part. So I understand where Bachmann wanted to cut costs in that way. So yeah, these trucks though, I just wish they were molded in a little bit more depth, but yeah. These wheels look really good. I really like the brake discs, which are molded in. They aren't painted though. I wish they were painted. They are just bright silver, which is very noticeable because these truck side frames don't really hide much of the wheel. But yeah, so as I said, overall, the details actually not super, there's not a lot of detail. This actually looks really nice. I really do like the fuel tank area detail, but like these parts, for example, are just molded onto the shell, which is just kind of cheap almost. As I said, though, I think Bachmann did a good job with the detail. They chose to make certain details that are important, like these, be separately applied, whereas the less important ones, like the underbody detail, is molded on. I think that's a very smart way of cutting costs. I'd much rather have these details be separately applied, or I'd rather much have these separately applied and these molded on than vice versa. So, the details that don't matter as much are molded on, and I think that's smart. But yeah, it also makes this engine really easy to handle. There's not many parts that will break off. With maybe probably these are probably the most fragile parts, but even those are very, solid on there, and it's really hard to really break them, to be honest. So it's a very durable engine. It makes it so it won't just break or anything like that with people handling it because everything is molded on and there's not a lot of separately applied fine detail parts. But yeah. The last thing I wanted to mention was just the amount of engineering done to this model. So for example, you'll notice that these trucks, they don't have much wiggle room because, you know, the side frames are so close to it. But Bachmann have, you know, added little divots, as you can see here, right there. Little divots on the side body to let the trucks just swivel just that little bit more. And that really helps improve just the overall running quality of this engine, because that little bit extra will allow the engine to negotiate little tighter curves, or, you know, be able to handle maybe less than perfect track a little better. And, you know, just little details like that are really important. And I think it's a really good, you know, job done by Bachmann, honestly. And you know, just little details like that are just nice to see. Clearly, someone put some thought into this engine when designing it. And yeah. This engine is also very easy to take apart. There's just 4 screws right here, and you can lift the shell right off. And I have taken apart one of these before. They're very easy to access on the inside. The inside wiring is very clean. It's a lot of wire plugs, you know, so it's very modular. It's really easy to replace things, really easy to take things apart. So as I said, just yet again a very well done job by Bachmann. One more thing I actually kind of forgot to mention is the interior here. It looks really nice. It's not painted or anything like that. There's no figures, but the little tiny details on top of like the, you know, the control panel there, you can actually kind of see them. My camera isn't picking it up well, but they do exist there. It looks really nice. I think a little bit of painting would really help. I do plan to take the shell off later and maybe paint that and add some crew figures because it is rather noticeable. The flush-mounted windows and the windshield wipers are, of course, a good touch, and the lights look really good as well. Now, so yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on this engine. I think they did a really good job in terms of just, you know, in terms of the budget of this engine. It's not a very expensive engine, so, you know, Bachmann cut costs where it mattered, but they still kept up the quality. They kept up the thoughtfulness of the, you know, the manufacture of this engine, and I think it overall looks really, really good. I think they did a good job. But that being said, it is not the most detailed engine in the world. If someone were elsewhere to make this engine, I'm sure they could make it even more detailed, like for example, Rapido maybe. But honestly, the Bachmann one looks really good. I'm really impressed at it. And the best part is, I only paid $180 for this engine. Trainroll is currently having a promotion where they're selling these for only $200, and then they have that 10% off coupon, so you actually only pay $180 for a brand new engine with TCS Wow Sound. So that's the next thing. That's the next thing I was going to talk about, was that this thing has a custom TCS Wow Sound decoder. You know, TCS, they didn't have the ACS64 sounds previously, but Bachmann and TCS decided to collaborate, and TCS Train Control Systems, they filmed or recorded custom sounds just for Bachmann's ACS64. So they clearly went out, they spent a lot of good time recording the sounds for this engine, the prime mover of the ACS, probably collaborating with Amtrak, and it honestly sounds really good. I'm sure you guys have heard other, you know, YouTubers videos of these guys running, and if you haven't, you can feel free to, you know, click off this video and see someone else's ACS64 video, but you'll hear that the sounds are very nice, and they sound very accurate. They sound very pleasant, and I hope TCS decides to make that decoder, you know, available to the public, because currently I believe you can only buy it if you buy a Bachmann engine. You cannot buy the decoder by itself from TCS with that sound package. So that's another really good job. Again, this model just screams quality. It shows that, you know, Bachmann has spent a lot of time, you know, thoughtful, a lot of time just making a thoughtful model with a lot of nice things that, again, they're only applicable to this engine. Like, they recorded custom sounds. This chassis is custom for this engine, and they didn't lack in any way, you know. So I honestly think they did a good job. I might add some clips at the end of this video just of this guy running. I don't have any other Phase 5 Amtrak equipment or Phase 4B, so I'll probably run them with some Bachmann Phase 3 cars. It's the only thing I have. But that being said, that's pretty much my thoughts on this engine. I think Bachmann did a great job. And for $180 for a brand new engine, when TCS decoders when decoders by themselves cost $100 these days, is such a good deal. I mean, you're basically paying $80 for the engine and then $100 for the decoder, and that's such a good deal for an engine like this. Again, it's you know, it's it's detailed, good enough. It runs really good. I didn't even show you guys that, but it runs really good. It sounds really good. The lights look fantastic, and yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to congratulate Bachmann for this engine. I know I'm really late. This engine has been released for a while, but, you know, this takes a little time for Trainroll to eventually try to cut discounts on their engines, and so that's when I buy engines. I try to buy things cheap, as you guys know. So, yeah. But I just wanted to share my thoughts on this engine. I think, again, Bachmann did a great job. But yeah, that's my thoughts. If you guys, I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts as well, though. If you guys want, if you have any opinions on this model, please comment them down below. I'd be happy. I'd be excited to hear what you guys think of this engine. Do you guys think it's, you know, it's really nice, or do you guys think there could be more things that could be improved, or, you know, more things left to be desired? I want to hear your thoughts. So if you know, please comment down below on your opinions. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, you know, listening to me ramble about this engine. And yeah, I look forward to seeing Bachmann's future products. They have done a really good job with most of their new Amtrak equipment, you know, filling out a niche in this hobby because no one else is making Amtrak stuff, at least not really. So yeah, but yeah, I'll leave you to see some clips of this guy running, but otherwise I'm gonna call it here. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.